Seoul wants to postpone the transfer of wartime operational control of its armed forces, but Washington remains reluctant. President Park Geun-hye has blamed the Japanese leadership for a lack of trust between Korea and Japan. And in a recent trend, decades-old buildings are being reborn as cultural facilities. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Tuesday, October 1st. I'm Luke Clary. U.S. Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel is here on a visit to South Korea. Seoul says it wants to postpone the transfer of wartime operational control of its armed forces, but Washington remains reluctant.
The South Korean government has once again asked the U.S. to postpone the transfer of the Operational Wartime Command slated for late 2015. However, according to the Washington Post, the U.S. government showed a different opinion. The Daily added that some in the U.S. expressed frustration over Korea's hesitation in taking over full responsibility for its national defense. It also cited U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel's statement that the thorny issue of postponing the operational command transfer was difficult to resolve during his recent visit to Korea. But the U.S. media stressed Hagel's determination to protect the South from North Korean threats and provocations under any circumstances.
A clear identification of the Iraq-U.S. partnership here more than anywhere else, the coordination of our efforts.
The U.S. government appears to be dumbfounded with yet another request by Seoul to postpone the command transfer, as President Barack Obama already finalized the timing of the transfer at the Korea-U.S. summit held back in May.
President Park Geun-hye has blamed the Japanese leadership for a lack of trust between Korea and Japan. Japanese statesmen have been criticized for remarks justifying or downplaying atrocities committed during Japan's occupation of Korea.
President Park Geun-hye met with U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel to discuss the importance of security cooperation among South Korea, the U.S., and Japan. During the meeting, Secretary Hagel discussed the possibility of improving Korea-Japan relations. President Park replied that many Koreans still suffer from deep emotional scars and that the matter is not up to the Korean and Japanese leaders to resolve. She pointed out that trust cannot be built between the two countries because Japanese leaders keep making antagonizing remarks about historical and territorial issues. The president blasted Japan for humiliating, rather than apologizing to, Korean comfort women who were physically and emotionally scarred the rest of their lives from their traumatic experiences. She added that Japan should be sincerely demonstrating remorse before any bilateral summit can take place, but Japan has been ignoring and exacerbating the situation. Her concern was the Japanese leadership's repeated contradictions. Japan would promise to better their bilateral relations at a summit and then turn their stance around by making hurtful remarks about Korea. Referring to Germany's heartfelt atonement for its past, President Park stressed that Europe's integration would not have been possible if Germany claimed that its past actions were right. Her remarks suggest that a summit between Korea and Japan would not take place anytime soon unless the Japanese leadership is able to demonstrate a change of attitude.
Former Welfare Minister Jin Young's resignation has been accepted and he has bid his farewell. For the time being, the Vice Minister will take the helm of the Ministry of Health and Welfare.
The Minister of Health and Welfare, Jin Young, handed in his resignation last Friday. He left office immediately after Cheongwade, the presidential office, accepted it. But he maintained his opposition to the government's final draft for the basic pension system, which pegs it to the existing national pension.
기초연금을 국민연금에 연계시키지 말아달라고. 그 부탁 한 가지만 다 똑같이 했어요, 그분들이. 저는 그분들에게 아무 할 말이 없어요.
He said he would accept any criticism concerning his sudden departure from office. In the wake of the minister's absence, the Ministry of Health and Welfare will now be headed by Vice Minister Lee Young-chan. His first task as interim minister is giving a briefing to the National Assembly's Health and Welfare Committee. But the ministry is in a state of emergency, with a mountain of pending welfare issues to be presented to the regular parliamentary session and inspection of government ministries slated for October. It seems inevitable that the ministry will suffer a leadership vacuum for the time being, as a new nominee must go through a strict parliamentary hearing before he can take office.
The opposition has hammered the Park Geun-hye administration for its handling of the basic pension program, but recent polls show that 6 out of 10 Koreans agree with their pension plan and would even pay more taxes to expand welfare benefits.
A recent KBS poll shows that about 60% of respondents agree with President Park Geun-hye's decision to cut the basic pension. They outnumber those who disagree. Interestingly enough, 80% of those who are 60 years old and over agree with the president even though they are already receiving the basic pension or will soon be eligible for it. By contrast, more than half of those who are in their 20s and 30s disagree with Park's decision. The poll also asked the respondents whether they are willing to pay more taxes to expand social welfare. More than 6 out of 10 answered positively. Those in their 20s and 30s were found to be more agreeable to the idea.
세금을 더 낼 의향이고요. 이제 앞으로 제가 당장 혜택을 못 받더라도 나중에는 받을 수 있는 부분이기 때문에 내야 하는 게 맞다고 생각합니다.
However, respondents in their 50s and 60s were found to be less willing to pay more taxes. More than half of stay-at-home married women said they didn't want to pay more taxes.
세금을 많이 내고 있다 그렇게 생각을 하고 있기 때문에 복지를 위해서 더 부담을 한다는 건 좀 어렵다고 생각을 합니다.
The 2-day-long telephone poll was conducted on 2,000 adults nationwide.
Many aspiring entrepreneurs are armed with great ideas or new technologies, but don't know how to start their business. The government has launched an online portal dedicated to the creative economy to help.
This venture company develops voice recording applications for smartphones. It grew substantially just 3 years after its launch, but had to face a number of hurdles in the beginning because of a lack of information and experience. To help aspiring entrepreneurs start their businesses, the government has launched a portal named Creative Economy Town. When aspiring entrepreneurs post their ideas on the site, experts from the relevant areas help them start their businesses. Experts from various fields, including first-generation venture businessmen and scientific technicians, act as mentors on the portal.
지식재산권 획득, 시제품 제작, 마케팅 등 사업화 전 과정에서 전문가의 멘토링을 받을 수 있도록 지원합니다.
President Park Geun-hye personally checked the portal at a meeting with her senior advisors at Cheongwade. She said that the portal must help the public to contribute their ideas to achieving the creative economy. The government plans to provide support to individuals so that their ideas can be utilized in the patent technologies of businesses, research centers, and universities.
A recent study shows that if you suffer from a protruding chin or misaligned jaw in Korea, that may have more to do with environmental factors than genetics.
This man in his 20s underwent surgery to correct his protruding chin. He couldn't even chew his food properly because his molars were severely misaligned. Thinking his condition may be hereditary, he looked through family pictures, but no one in his family had an overdeveloped lower jaw. In Europe and Japan, a jutting chin is known to be a hereditary condition, which is why Koreans automatically thought so too. One university hospital in Korea conducted a study on some 3,000 family members of patients with protruding chins. The study showed that only 5% of the patients had a family member with the same trait. That's about half of Japan's in-family occurrence rate of 11%. Koreans showed an unusually low occurrence rate of this hereditary facial feature.
일본인의 경우에는 대대손손 강한 주걱턱을 일으키는 우성유전자가 있는 반면에 한국인의 경우에는 혀의 위치나 근육 등 환경적 요소와 복합적으로 관여해 발생하는 것으로 판단됩니다.
The researchers said protruding chins among Koreans is caused by habits such as extending the lower jaw outward when young or propping the chin on one's hand for a long time. Doctors recommend that Koreans with abnormal jaw alignments get medical attention rather than blaming their family genes.
Korea is a rapidly aging society. The number of senior citizens aged 65 or older topped 6 million this year. And for the first time ever, elderly employees have outnumbered young people in the workforce.
This senior citizen in her 60s began working at a snack bar since last year, where she earns about $557 a month. Though her earnings aren't much, it's a good help for her family. An increasing number of elderly people are wanting to get jobs. Most of them land temporary manual ones. This is due to the government and individuals' failure in preparing for Korea's rapid transformation into an aging society.
국가로부터 받는 아니면 연금과 같은 그런 공적 소득이 없기 때문에 어쩔 수 없이 내몰리는 부분이 있는 거죠, 사실.
In advanced countries, government subsidies account for 50 to 90% of senior citizens' incomes. In Korea, government subsidies represent only 25%. The rest is earned income and allowances from family members. The reality is that more senior citizens simply wish to find work because of financial hardships.
Urbanization often means tearing down old structures to build up new ones. But in a recent trend, decades-old buildings are being reborn as cultural facilities.
Red brick walls and rusty window frames testify to the years the building has endured. Inside the building, cement walls and plumbing pipes are exposed with no decorations. The building was first used as a rice mill or a warehouse since the early 1970s. Now, it's packed with young people in their 20s and 30s. A famous rock band is holding a concert here. A unique atmosphere has been created as the aged and small warehouse is filled with rock music and cheers of people. In the back street of a 40-year-old apartment building, a sign shows there is a billiard hall on the first floor. But inside, an art exhibition is underway.
굉장히 낡고 험불하지만 그것이 뭔가 전혀 새로운 공간으로 다시 변신해서 또 다른 즐거움을 준다는 거에 더 큰 만족을.
Old buildings are being converted into cultural facilities, bringing new life to the city.
Trekking is a popular pastime in Korea, and the mountain trails really come alive in autumn. Here are some tips on how to make the most of your trekking experience. Autumn is the best season in Korea for hiking and trekking thanks to the clean, crisp air and fresh breeze. Mountains across the nation are teeming with hikers these days.
가을길 도보 트레킹하러 왔죠? 다이어트 할 겸 오늘 날씨하고 너무 환상적일 것 같아요. 기대 큽니다.
Trekking is a true national pastime in Korea, with 180 well-known routes between Seoul and Jeju Island. Without sufficient preparations, though, hiking can be dangerous.
잘못 트레킹을 했을 경우에는 굉장히 척추나 관절에 독이 되는 운동입니다. 하지만 올바른 방법으로 트레킹을 했을 경우에 인대가 두꺼워지고 강화되는 힘이 있기 때문에 이러한 의미에서는 올바른 트레킹이야말로 우리 몸의 척추 관절에 좋은 운동 방법이라고 할 수 있겠죠.
There are private academies in Korea that teach proper trekking techniques. Here's a look at how to use trekking gear appropriately.
중년 이후의 분들은 주로 무릎 관절이라든가 발목 관절이 약하기 때문에 목이 이렇게 올라오는 하이커 신발을 먼저 신어주는 게 좋습니다. 목이 올라오는 중등산화는 발바닥의 피로도도 덜하고 균형을 잡아줘가지고 에너지를 덜 쓰게 되고 또 이런 각종 위험에서 또 보호해줄 수 있는 발목이 있는 신발, 그런 신발을 권하고 싶습니다.
There's even a special technique for properly carrying a backpack.
배낭이 지금 뒤로 쳐져 있죠. 무게중심이 아래로 내려가 있으니까 그만큼 더 무게를 많이 느끼는 거예요.
Your backpack should sit above your waist. Another important point is proper walking stick handling. Insert your hands through the strings from below, then hold the grips with your entire palm. Maintaining the right posture and pace is also essential for preventing spinal injuries. Hold the sticks shoulder-width apart and lean your upper body forward. Take small strides and keep your feet straight. Don't forget to keep your chin down as well. Remembering all this might be tricky at first, but this technique will keep you healthy.
잠깐만요. 작가님 나오세요. 이렇게 미는 게 아니라 딱 요 형태로 미는 거예요. 그래야 힘을 쉽게 받을 수 있는 거예요. 올라가 보세요.
By maintaining the right posture, you can maximize the benefits of trekking and just feel more comfortable.
힘들게 올라가지 않고 이렇게 수월한 마음으로 올라가니까 모든 사물을 볼 수가 있잖아요. 그 자연을 느낄 수가 있고 아름다움을 느낄 수가 있고.
Trekking with your loved ones is one of the best ways to enjoy the nice autumn weather and the picturesque foliage, as long as you follow the safety rules. And now we'll take a look at the markets, followed by the world weather. And that's it for this edition of News Today. We'll see you at the same time tomorrow. Have a great day.